track for the day on gaming. Our moderator for this session is Mr. Deepak Demiwal, founder and CEO at Digi Checkings, a serial entrepreneur with 13 plus years of experience in tech and entrepreneurship. Developed first ever animated screensaver for mobile app store in 2006. Founder Demisol Technologies Private Limited. Developed top-paid education app in App Store in 2012. Sold Demisol Gaming Division to Big D Net in 2013. Serial entrepreneur with successful exits. He's also a BTech graduate from electronics from VTU. The remaining panelists for our session are Mr. Sumit Sapra, professional poker player, Anumkonda Ramesh, country manager, Indian subcontinent at Unity Technologies, Manohar Reddy, co-founder and product lead at Encore, and Ruchit Joshi, student at Goldsmiths University of London. Mr. Deepak, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And I welcome my panelists here. Mr. Ramesh, the Unity head, Manohar, Sumit, and Ruchit, a student, right? So I want to start off with Mr. Ramesh, seeing the India as a growth, the gaming that we have done right now, right? And also the interesting thing is the country getting into the gamification using the Unity platform. In the last half a decade, how do you think the Unity has come forward?
We are very fortunate to be at a point where Unity has started as a predominant game engine for mobile, and there's a lot of usage beyond the mobile platform, which predominantly comes from games for learning, games for your cross platforms like the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Wii, and Unity being that build once and deploy to multiple platforms. We see a very interesting creator market. So there are a lot more creators in this world, youngsters who just get out of the college or even do interesting games during their college days itself. And it reduces the entry barrier for anyone to start and build a quick game. And from a broad base, lowering the entry bar in India, we see a lot of youngsters coming and testing and trying their skills in building a game. It could be a simple casual game. It could be a 2D side-scroller game, action game, adventure game. But they need not reinvent the wheel. That's where I see a good starting point for the youth in India.
Okay, thanks. So regarding the taking Unity to the next level and creating a game, as you said, reinventing. Manohar, you have successfully created a company pretty large. Encore has done fantastic games, right? What is your take on Indian youth getting into the gaming, right, and creating more games apart from mobile itself, not just the casual games?
Right. So Unity as a platform is very easy to pick up. As Mr. Anumkonda said, students are doing projects before even they finish their college. So you don't even need to code, or you don't even need to have artistic skills to create a game in Unity. The platform and the plugins it provides are so fantastic that without writing a single line of code, you can have a fully fledged game developed and shipped across various platforms. So all it takes is getting comfortable with the platform, getting comfortable with all the plugins and the tools it provides the students. Of course, there are a lot of online videos available from Unity itself for getting started. For any student to get started, they can just follow that and create a game within a week or two, and then have it published across Google Play Store and App Store. So it's pretty easy to get into gaming. That doesn't mean successful games can be made in a week or two, but if there is enough interest, people can get into gaming without knowing how to code as well. So coding need not be a barrier to create games for students.
So let me just put one question to all the panelists to have a discussion right now. The way I see right now, the India gaming going forward is more on a casual, and these multiplayer games, more like MPL, Dream 11, and a lot of poker games, right? So where do you guys see the future of gaming forward? Are we going to be at a point where we say we can create a mobile game like Asphalt, or a need for speed?
I mean, first of all, I feel like the market for those games is limited, and also it takes a lot more time and effort to create something of that, to match up with those standards. And so far in India, I feel the way for someone to make money out of a game like that, having invested a lot of time and infrastructure to create something like that, is not very clear, as I don't see a lot of people paying a lot of money for for a game like that to play on their phone or on their computer. Whereas on the other hand, multiplayer games, as you mentioned, like poker or Dream 11 or other things like Rummy, etc., there is an established you know business model for that, where it is easy for the developer or for the game publisher to recover their investment in terms of the time and money that they spent, and also make some money on top of that for their efforts. So I do feel like the way forward is more in terms of multiplayer games compared to you know single player games, which also include a lot of graphics and other things, which definitely need more time and money to put together.
Also, I think that's a fair point, but also if as a student and an aspiring developer, what I think is from the passion side, that is where a lot of students do want to go to the higher end games, as in Asphalt or a League of Legends style MMORPG game or something like that, where they don't want to keep it simple. They have sort of high aspirations. So I think that there is a potential for that to happen, for someone to create a game which is a lot more complex than, say, your miniature games.
So let me address those 2 points. So I agree with Mr. Sumit that it takes a lot of effort to create a game like League of Legends or your PUBG or a Call of Duties. But if done right, the amount of return of investment the developer can get out of those games are humongous. I stress the word humongous because we've been in the industry, we know what sort of revenues these games make. And multiplayers are driving these games because if you see PUBG, the amount of daily average users who play the games, the amount of people or players logging into the game, it's pretty high in terms of Indian standards as well. And in terms of Indian audience paying for these games have increased in the past years. So I don't think making a return on investment with a game like PUBG or a Call of Duty or Asphalt is far reach for India right now. It's very accessible right now because of the spending patterns of the players have changed. Developers can make money while if they go this route of making big games, and also to address the student concern, as students do like to make these complex games. Of course, you can get there, you can create games like League of Legends, but to start off with, don't keep that as your target, right? So because it takes, usually these companies have hundreds of people together and they take 3 to 4 years to develop these sort of games, make it accessible to the players and fine tune it and iterate over this process. So as a student, it's very aspiring to actually look at League of Legends and try to think, okay, I want to make a game like that. That's a very good point. That should be your game. That should be your aim, to develop a game like League of Legends, but start off with something simple. I mean, we can get into the details later, but don't try to make your first game as a League of Legends game. Take this as a experience from people who have already done it and who have experienced what it takes to make a game. So that's a piece of advice for all the students.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Actually, if I need to add, I agree with the panelists' point of views. And if we need to add one more angle to this is, first pick up your battle or your challenge. When I say pick up your battle or challenge, are you looking at the career from an entry-level job into the gaming industry, or are you wanting to start a company? If you want to start a company, then you should look at doing a smaller game and get it out and get yourself exposed to the whole development life cycle, including publishing and understanding what is ROI on a game, like a small side scroller shooting game with ads integrated and other stuff. If you're looking for an entry-level job in the gaming industry, again, you need to look at 2 categories there. One is, do you want a job in a company where they do AAA quality games like League of Legends and other companies, then you got to try for getting an internship in those companies so that you become part of those league of people who make those AAA kind of a games. If you are decently funded, saying that, hey, no problem, I can put on myself and a couple of my other friends, and we can start up in a garage, and we can bootstrap up to 5 lakhs and start something doing. Then the approach is to go back and say, what are the games which are there in the current app store which are doing well as a genre, and try to do incremental improvisation rather than core innovation. Just make it better. Flappy Bird is a good example of it. The game exists as a side scroller game a number of times. Someone did it and made it much simpler and dumber and got lucky. So you can try your luck if you're looking from a early entrepreneur part of it. If you choose your track as an entry level content creator, not just being a gamer, then you have a lot of companies in the e-learning content creation. For example, Byju's is doing a lot of content creation of game-based learning content. And if you become a content creator, not just a gamer, but if you use any of the tools, I'm not being specific to a platform, any platform, where you have the 5 core competencies from your education is design thinking, followed by a good sense of engagement, which is good sense of humor and fun, and then ability to put things together as a package would really get you yourself launched into the career of the gaming from a starting point of it.
Good, really good points there by all the panelists, and very interesting. So I want to come to Sumit because he's a professional gamer and he's been doing it from so many years. I think this is something very interesting. A lot of youth wants to know from him that how to be a professional gamer. What does it take to be a professional gamer? And there are more people who wants to be gamer right now than creating a game. And this is also a career option. But your take on that, please.
Yeah. So, being a professional gamer or a player in this industry, especially in India, is not something very, you can say it's not a very established career option. So, you won't find that many people who have chosen this path or even consider this to be a career in the first place. But things are changing rapidly as we speak. I can speak from my experience in poker, for example. Things have changed drastically over the last 5 years. It's now very, very possible to be a professional poker player and have a very good career. Even so much, I will go to the extent of saying even as much as any professional athlete out there today, in any professional sport, for example. So it's kind of being like a professional, you can say a cricketer or a footballer, or chess is actually a more similar sport because it's more of a mind sport compared to the rest. But yeah, there are a lot of avenues now in terms of tournaments happening in India on the Indian poker platforms, which are, you can say really, really big as of today. So it's pretty comfortable for let's say someone in the top 10 poker players or even in the top 100 poker players in India, for example, to make easily anywhere between, I will say, around 40 to 50 lakhs a year just playing poker, for example. So it's a viable career option for a lot of youngsters. But what people don't realize is that, especially in poker compared to other gaming, there's a lot of hard work and study that goes into making you a better poker player, just like any profession, for example. So you need to put in the hours outside the game first to be able to get to that level where you can compete with the best, not just in India, but also in the world. But it is definitely a really exciting option for youngsters looking for an alternative career. And similarly, I've seen other people in gaming make careers out of other games like PUBG and some of the other popular games like Fortnite, for example. So there are a lot of people who are doing well playing those games as well, doing well financially as well as in terms of being popular or being followed on social media. And also the new thing that has started in this industry is streaming, as we were talking about it just before the session. So streaming is a new area where a lot of people who might not be so good in the game itself, but they are able to engage much better with the audience. So they are more like an entertainer who is providing a platform for the audience to learn as well as enjoy. So streaming is the new big thing in India, and especially given the population and the access to mobile phones that people have in India, I think streaming is going to be really, really big, and there's a lot of scope for people to make a career there as well.
Thanks, Sumit, for that. So, I mean, moving from there, I would like to ask and have a discussion probably between Manohar and Ramesh, right, about introducing gaming coding, let's say the platform like Unity, into the education system. Because I think that is something really missing. And I'm sure Manohar would know that starting a company, that would be really hard to find a fresher who can do the coding. Because way back in 2009, when I started as an iPhone gaming company, there was none in the country. There was not even a single iPhone gamer. And I remember hiring 10 freshers and training them, because I worked for Microsoft for a couple of years as a gamer. So, and like I had to train them on that. And that was really hard. And I think that might be one of the reasons that we are not able to create a PUBG. And we are creating more marketable games like a poker or a Dream 11 rather than creating amazing games over Unity. So do you think that is something that we should look in the future as an education part of it?
If I need to take this question to start with, your observation is right, spot on. Ability to spread information to the youth, especially the second, third year and the final year of the engineering colleges, to make them understand that you have a very solid career in getting yourself as a digital content creator is the bigger picture. Games are important. Games can be used for various genres, various learning formats. What is important here is to do a bit-size approach. When I say bit-size approach, if you want to become a game developer overnight or over a year or over 2 years, it's not just that 2 years is needed. It's a practitioner kind of a thing. Like how doctors, they keep on learning and when new diseases come. Like a lawyer, as the law evolves, they keep on learning. As a chartered accountant, every time there are changes in the tax laws, they keep learning. Similarly, if you are getting to be a game developer, irrespective of the platform of choice, you got to be constantly learning as the platform evolves, as the new updates come in. So the way, if I need to answer your question from a training and skill development point of view, start it with something which is there in the tutorial section of any of the platform. For example, Unity. If you go to Unity, learn.unity3d.com, you would definitely find things that the youth can learn, not even stepping out of their computer during COVID. They can just be in where they are and get them not the whole jing bang of Unity, just 20 competencies of Unity. Ability to load an asset, modify an asset, ability to put physics so that two cars can collide, the cup doesn't pass the table, sits on the top of the table, physics, dynamics, put bit of an inverse kinematics animation, ability to manage motion capture data, ability to apply a small game logic and a reward system, package the product, publish it onto the App Store. Like simple, 10 competencies. Or if you want to make it much more interesting, add bit of a AI, bit of a dynamics, and bit of something which is like visual effects or the particle effects, so that it has the jazz and the thing. Knowing these 20 competencies, you confidently go back and say, I know Unity or I know XYZ platform, that I can do this job without any supervisory guidance. Of course, you can have the Google guidance, you can have the internet guidance, but the beauty is youth, entry-level job seekers should come back and voice it out, saying that these are the basic competencies of ability to handle data, that is images, audio, video stuff, to make a meaningful interaction. That would make Manohar hire him, or that would make Deepak say, hey, this guy is interesting. Let me hire him for as an intern or entry-level job guy. What do you think, Manohar?
Yes, I agree with Mr. Ramesh's points. As I said, students can access these platforms and basically follow the tutorial through to get a game done, right? That's very, very possible. So in terms of what colleges can do to enable students to be job ready, I would take a step back and address how big the gaming industry is right now, why colleges need to have a sort of a correspondence course or an elective course in gaming, how they can enable, and for all the students and the parents hopefully watching this session. So when we talk about entertainment industry, people usually think about films and music, right? Those are the two big ones. But you would be surprised to know those two combined don't make enough money what the gaming industry is making. So that's how big the gaming industry currently is. And these are data-based facts, of course. Mr. Ramesh would agree. And with the industry being so huge and there are a lot of opportunities, so I would start, it's not about just coding, right? Colleges do have, students do learn C++ as part of their computer science curriculum or their electronics curriculum. So if you are a coder, yes, you can get into the gaming industry as a developer. But if you don't have coding skills, if you have artistic skills, that is another department as well. You can create your game characters, you can create game environments, you can create marketing materials. So if you have art skills, there is an entry level job for you in the gaming. If you are good with statistics, there is an entry level game for you in the job industry. You will need to analyze data, how players are using your product, how are they reacting, how are each features doing. So all that analytical capabilities will get you a job. If you are good in economics, you can you can implement behavioral economics into games. Why do people buy? What makes people spend? So to give an example, all of us know rupees 199 looks a lot lesser than rupees 200, but it's actually only a difference of 1 rupee. But it's human tendency or psychology to think, to perceive 199 as being a lot lesser than rupees 200, right? That's behavioral economics. So it's not just about coding. If colleges do teach gaming as a correspondence course, as an or elective course, it's very helpful so that students can be job ready. Even then, if you have these skills which I mentioned right now, coding or art skills or economics or statistics or data analysis skills, Python, you name it. So there will be a job for you in the gaming industry. It's not a unidirectional coder company, right? You do need all of these aspects to make a successful game. There are game designers who write rules, who study player psychology, the way they behave, how you want them to behave in a certain situation. So there are a lot of skills actually which go into developing a game, and students with from various backgrounds are welcome into the industry if they are passionate about it and if they are willing to learn. When we have taken up internships for third year, fourth year students, I mean, they all come in with an aspiration to create Fortnite while the time they finish their internship, right? Because they know a bit of coding, but that's not the reality. But yeah, if you have your coding experience, you can get in as a developer. If not, there are a lot of other skills which you can develop and get into the industry.
Sir, a question related to that. So, in most engineering colleges, when say you're doing computer science or an ECE stream, where you learn how to code, you don't have a lot of electives that are in design or some other aspect. You have very, very core uh, computer science electives. So, what would you say should be a change in the colleges, or what courses should colleges introduce, or that students can take to further their
Yeah,
abilities?
very good question. So to make the electives work, the easiest part is uh, the student can go and point to any of the global resources. For example, if you look at the Unity perspective where I work, we do have two programs. One is called a Unity Academic Alliance Partner Program, and the other one is a Unity Authorized Training Center program, where the Authorized Training Center program is more for the commercial training, where colleges like engineering colleges can use the Unity Alliance program to make sure that educators from Unity, for example, in India, we do have Jay Naresh, who becomes part of the board of the studies of the college, and then include not just the tools, but the concepts of gaming, gamification, game-based learning into the curriculum, and then look at how it could be a mainstream part of your curriculum elective. It could be a major, it could be a minor, or it could be a project elective where enough credits were given for people delivering, delivering in the sense, developing a proof of concept of a first playable. So we are more than happy to support colleges which are not aware and do not have much of the choice in the gaming space to quickly go to the Unity Academic Alliance Partner Program, and we would be able to happily support any of those initiatives to the extent of coming and mentoring and guiding the college faculties and installing enough avenues for students to learn not just gaming. I would say digital content creation for augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, games across all genres, which includes like it could be a casino game, it could be a real world, real money game, it could be an action adventure game, and it could be even an R&D project for a new UI UX of how you want to use your mixed reality devices. And today you are seeing these devices being more and more accessible, and you would be, I was very excited to see a lot of announcement coming from different telcos across the region about how they are working on the augmented reality and mixed reality space.
So in continuation to that, so from a college perspective, yes, the colleges can include courses, but say a student is in a college where college doesn't offer those courses that can help you in digital content creation and stuff. What are other avenues that a student can explore to have credible skills and not just say if I did an online course that may not have credibility? What are some of the credible courses that someone can do?
So credible course would come back to, if you go to unity.com/learn, in that category, you would have two broad category of courses. And these courses are courses which end up with certification. So there is a Unity entry-level game designer certification, Unity Pro artist certification, Unity Pro programmer certification. Then there are advanced certification as well, which would enable the student to reduce the friction to get their foot into the door into the gaming companies. Or broadly today, the demand in India is for non-gaming, especially for augmented reality, virtual reality content creators. And every time I get a call from companies, they say, hey, do you have any guys who can create a virtual reality application or an augmented reality application in Unity? I say, okay. Oh, you need a gamer? No, I need someone to create in Unity and give it on my HoloLens, give it on my Oculus Rift kind of a thing. So the better way is to look at every state has startup missions. For example, in Kerala, there is a Kerala startup mission. In Andhra Pradesh, there is a State Innovation Society. In Delhi, there is multiple centers where they have this AR, VR devices. And colleges who don't have this facility, students should attend those events, and now it's all online events, and get themselves exposed to those formats of digital content creation. And then if you're looking at a community, every city in India, top-notch cities, the top 10, has Unity developer communities. And these communities are pretty vocal. They are there on Google Meetup, they're there on their WhatsApp, and they are there on connect.unity3.com. That way, colleges where there are no enough privileges, students can become part of that online community. And for that sake, this kind of a platform where people can interact, write to me, write to Deepak, write to Manohar, and get connected, we'll be able to point out to those courses where they can get themselves a decent job. Not even a job, they can get more confident and start their own enterprises. So, Manohar, any other ideas of how do you reduce this entry level for colleges who don't have huge infrastructure, huge labs, and the faculty itself is not aware, is the question from Ruchir.
Right. So if there are enough opportunities, enough interest in the students from a particular college, I guess the gaming industry professionals can visit and act as a guest lecturers in this college and maybe do a weekend classes of sort for a month, and where they introduce the students to the whole gaming life cycle and what it takes to build a game. Then that probably will start enough interest in the college itself to include it in an academic level. So when they know what skills students need to make these games and how games can make people's lives better, I would say gamification in the sense. If we start visiting colleges as maybe guest lecturers and talk to college managements and include them in the process as well, maybe that will pique the interest of the college management to include bilateral courses if needed. As far as Ruchit's question, how a student can prepare apart from the online courses, is doing internships or projects by yourself. So there is enough guidance out there on the internet, in Unity platform, of course. So you can start if you have your basic coding skills, either in Python, either in C Sharp, either in C++. The coding language does not matter. If you have your basic coding skills, you can follow an online tutorial and create a game by yourself, so you'll get experience. And a lot of companies, some may look at your qualification for an entry-level job, but a lot of weightage is given to the projects you have done, right? What you have built by yourself, even if it doesn't work, if you have made an attempt to create any project, any game, any application using these technologies, right? So if you can showcase that and if you can talk about it, that puts more weightage than your qualification, I would say. So work on projects right from your third year, fourth year, make that part of your college project as well if it gives you credits. So that might help you.
Right.
That might help
Thank
all
you.
the students. Yeah.
That's wonderful insight for me, guys, for the you to look into the job. So I wanna go to Sumit now, right now, and he is definitely one of the top gamers in the country. And there is a phobia, there is a fear among parents when their kids are growing up and trying to play a lot of games. And I think Ruchi and his colleagues will relate to it, right? Is there a way that the professional gaming can be a part? Is there a training that they can get it? Or would you be interested to do a Udemy course for them? How to be a professional gamer? Which creates that thing that telling the kids that okay, you want to be something, be something. You want to be a gamer, it doesn't have to be coding. It can be somebody like Sumit.
Right. Yeah, very interesting question because this is something that keeps popping up in the gaming industry because a lot of parents don't really consider gaming to be a viable career option. And also, when you could speak about poker, for example, it's even one step further in terms of a lot of people think of poker as gambling, not just gaming. So it becomes even more difficult, for someone young to convince their parents that it is a viable and a respected career option. So yeah, very interesting point. And in terms of poker, there are already a lot of institutions or organizations which are involved in teaching people how to play better poker so they can make a career out of it. Some of these are what we call stables, where you have a couple of experienced poker players who run these organizations. So they take up new or younger players who have some potential but who really need to work a lot on the game, and they're looking for guidance. So how this works is the stable coaches these people in and also gives them funds to play with in return for a share in their profits. And as the players keep getting better and better at this, obviously the stables also make some money, and the player improves to such a big extent that now they can pursue poker full time as a career option. So that is obviously one part of it. Then there are also a lot of online training sites that have come up in the last few years specifically, which help gamers or poker players achieve their potential and also to improve their game. Some of these are obviously subscription based, where you need to pay a small amount of money to be able to become a member, and then you get access to all the content and all the material that they have prepared over the last 3 or 4 years. So there are lot of options, especially given the scenario now. Most of this is available online, so it's very easy for someone sitting at home, if they want to get better at any game or get better at poker, to be able to access all of these avenues and do a good job of it. When it comes to convincing parents or other people about the viability of poker and gaming as career options. I feel that as an industry, we need to do a lot more in terms of marketing, in terms of pitching this as a career option to the youth, and also there need to be a lot more role models that people can look up to. For example, we have role models in sports like a Virat Kohli in cricket, or someone else in like Vishwanathan Anand in chess, for example. So and I do see a trend of this of similar sorts emerging in poker now. Like in the last few years, there have been a few young players who've done really well on the international stage. There have already been like 3 people from India who have won poker world championships in Las Vegas. So there's a World Series of poker that happens every year in the US in Vegas, where people from or players from all countries go and compete with each other, and these are like huge fields where thousands of people play against each other. So there have been like 3 or 4 people from India who have already gone there and won one of these events. So things on that front are changing rapidly. But as I mentioned earlier, there also needs to be some change on the regulatory front in terms of making poker recognizable as a game of skill, as different from gambling. And then, there's a lot of things that can be done. But if you look at even, for example, TV advertising, in the last few years, PokerStars India has signed up some of the really big names, celebrities. And so, for example, MS Dhoni is now the brand ambassador of PokerStars India. And before this, it was Nawazuddin Siddiqui. So these are like household names. So people are taking note, and hopefully things will be, a lot better for people hoping to take this up as a profession going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, really interesting. Very interesting to know, especially for the youth to see where they want to learn these things, right? Mano, next question is to you, right? Because you are actively in the game and the gaming industry, and you're hiring people. So how do you plan your hiring in case you have to get freshers, or the young people coming out, and let's say they have the Unity certificate from the unity.com and learn, right? They have separate certificates. So do you look at the freshers hiring, or it's just the people who have already gained the knowledge of the gaming that comes to you?
So we look at what talent or what skill set the existing team has and what we need to fill the gaps. So if the position is definitely viable for a fresher, we do look at colleges, we do post at our LinkedIn, we do post in our websites, we do reach out to recruitment firms who then can reach out to colleges and procure students from there. So it depends, to be really, really honest, it depends on the current requirement in the project of whether you want to hire an experienced professional, or is the job can be given to a student who can be then trained on while he's in the job, and can he execute that. So it really depends on what the current requirement would be. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I mean, sorry. That is that's again, I mean, good for the youth. So again, the same question to Mr. Ramesh, right? You would be seeing lot of these young people, right, are learning on your platform, right? Unity.com and learn, and they're getting the certificate. Is there a way, the way Unity can connect these freshers to the companies, because you work with closely with a lot of companies, right? And these freshers are getting trained in your platform, because there's not much options available outside to go and get trained in the gaming, right? And there's not enough money for a young kid to start a company. I mean, Manohar would definitely agree to that. To create a big game, it's not easy for them. So is there a way the Unity look into this as a creating a community of the kids and these youth learning and getting them placed into the company? Can you be the university for them?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a few programs where we support a lot of colleges, universities with education license grant. Having said that, looking at the ability to connect demand and supply, which is a constant, we see a lot of demand from the market, and the supply of trained manpower is where is the bigger challenge right now. We do have a platform called Connect. Connect is a Unity marketplace, which connects both individuals who are seeking jobs, who are seeking for full-time employment, part-time employment, freelance employment, and people can post jobs and projects, and there is an active marketplace for them to get connected. So from a Unity perspective, I think if someone can work in the Unity editor and perform the basic 20 competencies of ability to handle 3D data and make a meaningful interactive game or interactive experience, they would definitely have a higher chance of landing up in a very, very good job.
That's fantastic. It's good for the college kids. They should know this, that they can go to Unity and learn there and also get a job right there, right? Uh, the next question that I'm going to keep it as open. I mean, probably Ruchi, I would like you to ask any questions to the panelist uh, right now.
Yes, uh, from from a student's perspective, I've definitely got a much better idea of how I can enter the industry and what skills I would need. Maybe let me think of a question and then come back in a couple of minutes. If that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So I want to open another debate among the panelists Manoj, Sumit, and Mr. Ramesh is something which, as a country, India is looking at it. So and also from the user point of view, which Sumit is right, we have a huge shift on the mobile gaming, right, which is like MPL, that Virat Kohli does the ad, the Dream 11, all the cricketers do those ads, right? Poker, Ludo King, right? So there is that sector which we already have, which I think is right now connecting to the Indian users, right? And there's again the uh, big games that people like Manohar creates and using the Unity platform. So where do you see as the country going forward in that, in terms of can we go to the Xbox console games in the forward in the PS, or are we going to be in the mobile sector for a very long time?
So each platform has its own pros and cons, right? So while talking about mobile, because it's so accessible and because internet is very accessible to Indians right now, and I would argue that many of us already have a 4G or 5G capability phone, it's easy to deliver content to mobile devices than a console, right? Because of continuous availability of resources or the online capabilities of pushing content onto the user's device so that they can experience whatever changes we need to make or what content we need to deliver to them. Mobile platform looks more viable for a company to invest on and to develop products, more products, not only gaming, but more applications, because it's actually easy to distribute the product to an end user. All we need is a connecting platform like Google Play Store or the iOS App Store or Epic Store in terms of games. You just need to put your games out there and it easily reaches thousands of millions of users. So distributing content is easier on mobile platforms, and making games actually in terms of the investment needed cost lesser for a mobile platform than for a console. So in both the cases, I would say going the mobile route is profitable for a developer because of these factors: the accessibility, the resources that currently are in India, the talent pool. It's not, I mean, we can always look at hiring outsourcers, the remote developers who have already worked on console technologies, but the ease of distribution in those platforms are a different ball game than a mobile platform. So publishing is at different other aspects. After you develop your game, there is a whole lot of work to be done in publishing and marketing sectors. So when you have a mobile product, it gets easier. That's it. So I would say mobile would be the way, since a lot of Indians consume content on mobile more than their PC or their television right now. So I think the mobile platform is there to stay and grow.
Definitely, the mobile in the mobile space, the entry barrier is pretty low. And if you're looking at anything going for a AAA title, it requires a lot of rigorous pre-production effort in terms of the game design, the level design, the first playable, the prototype, the A/B testing, the alpha testing, making sure that the game economy is right. So making a big budget movie and making an indie movie. First try the indie movie route. The big budget will come as you evolve with making this indie short. That's what I would put in
Yeah, definitely agree with the participants here in terms of mobile being the primary driving force for all kinds of gaming in India. Um, Especially if you look at poker and multiplayer games, I think most of the traffic is driven through mobiles. Even though there exist platforms for both desktop as well as mobile environment, but most of the users are casual users or recreational users who most of the times will access these platforms through the mobile interface. And I don't see that changing going forward. I think mobile is going to be the primary driver, especially given the mobile phone penetration in India compared to the number of people who have access to a desktop or a computer. Mobile is way ahead. So definitely see that, don't see that changing.
So in as I mean nowadays we're seeing companies starting to provide cloud gaming services. So that makes it easier to get higher frame rates and better gameplay on your desktop or laptop. So do you see that driving a shift towards PC gaming, because that will make it a little more easy to get a better level of gameplay on a PC at a cheaper price?
there. Definitely, ability to the game predominantly can be classified as a single player game, multiplayer game. In multiplayer game, there are asynchronous multiplayer games. So as far as single player games, absolutely fine. They are very much low end to get there. But the moment you go to the multiplayer games is where you get this concept of the cloud-based thing. And in that, if you're looking at it like a top-notch AAA FPS game, then definitely the infrastructure of hosting it in the cloud and any platform, any device makes a much more bigger difference. So today we were fortunate at Unity. We do have we have acquired a company which pretty much if you're playing PUBG, the multiplayer server behind PUBG is actually a Unity company. So we have acquired a company called Multiplay. And if you're looking at a game like Fortnite, the multiplay voice chat server runs on an engine called VVox, and VVox is a recent acquisition of Unity. So the 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 ability to do games on the cloud to reach millions of users, if that's the question, get your game play working on one target devices and one specific genre, one specific group, and to take it to any scale, if you have your content in an engine like Unity, you can pretty much port it onto the cloud within the Unity ecosystem itself. That
Right.
is Unity Multiplayer, Unity VWalks, and other stuff. So getting your core game loop right is going to be the big winner. If you get your game stickiness factor, which could be classified as easy to play, hard to easy to learn, hard to really what do you call it? Easy to play, uh, hard to master, means you fail. But every time you fail, if the game is making you feel fun, then you got something right in the core mechanics of the game. And
Right.
if you get that mechanics right in a poker game, in a bingo game, in an action game, adventure game, racing game, that's it. Then you can think about taking it to multiple platforms, posting it in the cloud. making it much more versatile and able. But definitely, ability to host games on the cloud is changing the dynamics of how content is being consumed and how companies are making money out of it.
So also on the cloud now, companies are coming up with technologies where you can access a GPU through the cloud, which makes the frame rates on your game faster. So I think that would make AAA and higher intensity games more accessible to a person with, say, a not so high level system to run it.
Thanks to Geo, as long as you have a stronger broadband, the
Right.
frame rate works. Okay, so the infrastructure is twofold. I was pleasantly surprised when I was looking at various telcos giving close to 1 terabyte, 500 Mbps. I tried and I tried the 1 terabyte one. Yes, definitely you need not have higher compute at your end, and the frame rates are much better, and you would get a fair play if you're doing an esports tournament, not like previously anyone playing from India. Your latencies are bad. you will die even before you are dead. So the games are hanged. So from that point of view, I would say the constant, and I should really appreciate the effort done in the private players in increasing the broadband penetration and the speeds in India, where we are the cheapest internet countries in the world. Absolutely, for a 500 Mbps. 2 years back, we were ranking way below 160, 70, and now I think we are at around 62 or 65, and still going up at a much more thing. So I would say fixed broadband connections are only going to support those stuff. But whereas most of the world is on our geo wireless internet rather than geo wired fiber. So if you have a much more wired fiber and have a decent computer, I think cloud-based gaming is the future. Is definitely picking up. I would say in the future we'll see how it will evolve, but I'm quite excited with the experience. It's really impeccable.
Thanks for that. So we have last 8 minutes left, and I'm gonna just shoot some questions from the audience, and anybody can take that up and just reply. So one first question that comes across to us is, when do you think gaming will be a serious business in India? We are still into a nascent stage, right, in terms of game designing and programming. What's missing?
Game design, a good story, a core loop, a loop which makes you fun every time you lose. You play a game, every time you fail, you should feel fun. That's the core loop of the game. You have that right, and then you would have a lot of expertise from Sumit, Manohar, and other people who are there in the ecosystem who will jump into the economics of gaming. Because game design, if you design the core loop well, then comes the game economics layer. Game economics is as the finance minister of the country of India. It's economic design. Game design is defining your currency in the game. It's much more deeper than an economics. So first get your core loop right, then hire the right people who can run your game well from an economic point of view, and you'll definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's my short answer.
Good. Mr. Sumit, this question has again come up, and I think you are still one of the best person to answer this. How do you make parents understand that there is a future, there is a career in gaming?
Well, it's a kind of a chicken and egg story that, it's hard to convince someone without actually showing them something substantial. So I feel like, if you can be successful and make a lot of money playing games, it's not that hard to convince someone. But yeah, if you just play games and you're not really productive doing that, and you don't really make any money, then it's going to be difficult to convince anyone for that matter. So yeah, so it has to, as I mentioned earlier, it has to basically become the sort of thing where you have role models whom you can look up to, people who are like 25 years old, 27 years old, who won a world championship, made a lot of money at that young age. So once we have those sort of role models who are visible, especially using social media now, it will not be very difficult to convince your parents that this is a viable career option. For I can relate, like 20 years back, if you had to convince your parents for anything apart from trying to be an engineer or a doctor, it was a struggle. If you wanted to be a cricketer or you wanted to be a sports person, people were not really convinced that it's a viable career option. Whereas you look at things today, a lot of parents actually push their kids to be, or to follow some of these role models. So yeah, things will evolve in a similar way in this industry, I feel.
Nice, nice. Manohar, your take on that, because you have started a successful gaming company, right? And I'm pretty sure youth like Ruchir and everybody else, somewhere down the line, always plans to be an entrepreneur like you and create something amazing. So how do you
So
hit that? Because it's really tough. It doesn't look tough, because I remember my own experience way back in 2009, right? My parents were supportive to start a company, right? But if you tell this to other people, what do? I make games. So like, but what do you do, right? Is it really a career? Like, I run a company of games. So, but it was tough back then. But I think it's still tough, and I think Ruchir and other people will relate to it. It's not easy. It's telling the parent that I'm joining a gaming company, right? So how do you make that communication to your parents about it?
so I think the first thing which needs to be tackled is the perception of viewing gaming as a taboo or an addiction, right? Parents look at their kids playing games on their phones for continuous hours and they think the kid is not going to learn anything, which is partially true if you're skipping your college classes and playing games. So yeah, I think the perception of the gaming industry of regarding to it like a taboo or a skill set which doesn't help the child in any way, that needs to change first. There are a lot of examples of players or kids or students who have just played games which have increased their communication abilities, which has increased their thinking abilities, their rational thinking, their design thinking, their attention to detail. So there are a lot of skills which an individual develops while he's playing games unconsciously, subconsciously, right? I would say subconsciously. Because if today, if you can ask Ruchir to probably play PUBG and tell me what's wrong with it, he can come up with 10 things. That's the skill he has developed. So it's necessary to first get that perception out of the parent's mind that gaming relates to a taboo industry or it's a sort of addiction, right? So I mean, there's some sort of regulation required in terms of the number of hours the kids can play games, but don't take that away from them. They do learn social skills from gaming. They do learn thinking skills. They do learn competitive skills. They do learn about how to perform as a team when they're playing from people across the globe as a team in their game. They're also learning how to function as a team member when they eventually join a company. So subconsciously, gaming teaches you a lot of things. I'm not trying to glorify it, but that's what I've gone through. And I've identified these things from college students who are passionate about being a gaming professional or a gamer. When they talk to us, I ask them these questions, right? I show them a picture, right? You can see one behind my back right now. So if you see the character right there is playing some tunes so that all the beasts around her, they are all wild beasts, but they are playing along with her, right? So what does it take to create something like that? That art skills, observational skills, communication skills, right? So all these things are ingrained into a gamer who has subconsciously learned all of this. Parents need to be made aware of these things so that they can support a student when he says he wants to join a gaming company. So gaming is not only accessible to computer science students, as I iterated earlier. I would like to reiterate, if you're an electronic science student, where do these games run? How do their performance peak if they're compatible or if they run on their GPUs, graphic processing units? So if you're an electronic student, you can be the one working at NVIDIA making these computer chips. It's not necessarily needed that you code a game and make people enjoy your product. You can support the back infrastructure of what it takes the products to build these games. So it's the industry is very, very accessible. A lot of skills are used in the gaming industry. Parents need to be made aware of that. So the first thing would be probably reaching out to colleges and having them incorporate some sort of a lateral courses or correspondence course, some kind of gamifications in their college, so that the students are aware, then they talk to their parents and they are made aware of the opportunities in the gaming industry. So if you look at India right now, as of 2020, a lot of gaming startups have popped up in the country.
Hello, Manohar. I think he's facing some issue, but yeah, I
think Manohar made a big point, which is play is the natural way to learn, and parents should understand that when play is a natural way to learn, there's a lot more learning which can happen, and anything which is done excessive has side effects. Anything which is done in a regulated time has its benefit, and there are enough research which says that cognitive skills, hand-eye coordination, your logical way of comprehending things can improve by playing various genres of games. And last but not the least, if you go back a few steps from the evolution of mankind, play is the fundamental thing which has transformed how we are arranged as societies. There are folk art, folk tales, people play, and games need not necessarily be evil. Games is, if you go to your parents and says games is addictive, I'm very worried about it, then you should tell the parents that's the truth. You get into the game, into the virtual world, and start inculcating what you want to communicate to your kid, because he chooses that the platform as a medium. Either the way, if the parent is open for a new age thinking, that's fine. If not, if everyone is going there, you got to go there, and you got to let that happen with less friction. That's my 2 cents on it.
Really interesting points there. Unfortunately, we are out of time right now, and I think this was a really informative session. I want to thank all my panelists, and I'm sure the youth watching this video learned a lot. They have a place to start their learning with Unity. They have a career as a gamer, and they can always start a business like Manohar.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And my name is Ramesh at unity3u.com. For any youngsters, we are very excited to support you. Feel free to write to me, and I'll be more than happy to connect to the right dots, both in the Indian ecosystem and globally. Thank you very much, Deepak and team.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful insights that you all have shared with us. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, all the panelists. It was great having you all. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule for this. So that brings us to the end of the second session for the day on gaming. Don't go away. Kindly stay tuned in for our next track on government. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.